Israel's wars. Since its formation, since its creation in 1948, Israel has been involved in numerous conflicts, primarily with its neighboring Arab states. These wars have shaped the Middle East, involving complex political, territorial, and religious factors. Some of the key questions we can ask are, how many wars has Israel fought? In how many of these did Israel initiate hostilities, and when was it defending itself? Who are Israel's allies, and what are their motivations for supporting the nation? The 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Israel's first war started immediately after its independence was declared on May 14, 1948. A coalition of Arab nations, including Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq, rejected the United Nations partition plan, which divided British-controlled Palestine into Jewish and Arab states. The Arab League invaded, aiming to prevent the establishment of Israel. However, Israel, despite its nascent military, successfully defended itself and expanded its territory beyond the original UN plan. This was not a war started by Israel, but one of defense. The Suez Crisis of 1956. In 1956, Israel joined forces with the United Kingdom and France in the Suez Crisis. Egypt, under President Gamal Abdel Nasser, had nationalized the Suez Canal, blocking Israeli shipping. Israel launched a preemptive strike, capturing the Sinai Peninsula, while Britain and France aimed to regain control of the canal. This was one of the instances where Israel initiated hostilities. However, under international pressure, especially from the United States and the Soviet Union, Israel withdrew from Sinai in 1957. The Six-Day War of 1967. Perhaps the most famous of Israel's conflicts, the Six-Day War of 1967, was another preemptive strike. Tensions had been mounting as Egypt closed the Straits of Tiran, blocking Israel's access to the Red Sea and massed troops along Israel's southern border. Jordan and Syria also mobilized against Israel. Fearing a coordinated Arab attack, Israel launched a series of airstrikes, destroying much of Egypt's air force. Within 6 days, Israel had captured the Sinai Peninsula, the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. Although Israel struck first, it argued that the war was defensive, meant to neutralize an imminent threat. The Yom Kippur War of 1973. In 1973, Israel found itself on the defensive when Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. The war caught Israel off guard, and early Arab advances were significant. However, Israel managed to repel the attacks and even gained additional territory before a ceasefire was brokered by the United States and the Soviet Union. In this case, Israel did not start the war, but defended itself against an attack. The Lebanon Wars, 1982 and 2006. Israel invaded Lebanon in 1982, aiming to dismantle the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, which was operating from southern Lebanon and launching attacks into northern Israel. This was a preemptive strike designed to neutralize a perceived threat, though it led to Israel's prolonged involvement in Lebanese affairs. Israel's 2006 war with Hezbollah, a Lebanese militant group, began when Hezbollah launched a cross-border raid, killing and capturing Israeli soldiers. Israel responded with extensive airstrikes and a ground invasion. Although Israel did not start the conflict in 2006, it engaged in a heavy military response. The Gaza Wars, 2008 to 2021. In recent years, Israel has been involved in several wars and conflicts with Palestinian factions in Gaza, primarily Hamas. These include operations in 2008 to 2009, Operation Cast Lead, 2014, Operation Protective Edge, and 2021. The spark for these wars is often rocket fire from Gaza into Israeli territory, leading Israel to retaliate with airstrikes and ground offensives. While Israel's actions are typically in response to Hamas's aggression, its critics argue that the underlying issue is Israel's long-standing blockade of Gaza and the occupation of Palestinian territories. Who are Israel's allies? Israel's most important ally has historically been the United States. The U.S. provides Israel with military aid, diplomatic support, and economic assistance. The U.S. sees Israel as a democratic stronghold in a region dominated by authoritarian regimes, and it has strategic interest in ensuring Israel's security. Other Western nations, such as the United Kingdom, Canada, and Germany, have also supported Israel, though this support often comes with calls for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In addition, Israel has developed new relationships with Arab nations through the Abraham Accords, which began in 2020. These agreements have normalized relations between Israel and countries like the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan. The motivation for these alliances includes economic benefits, shared concerns over Iran's influence in the region, and U.S. diplomatic pressure. Conclusion: Israel's history of wars is a mix of defensive responses and preemptive strikes, shaped by its geopolitical situation in the Middle East. It has faced repeated attacks from neighboring Arab states and militant groups, but it has also initiated conflicts when it deemed its security threatened. Israel's alliances, particularly with the U.S., have been vital for its military and political survival, while new alliances with Arab nations signal changing dynamics in the region.